The movie begins with Anna, a rebellious music-loving teenager going to school. Her relationship with her mother, Dr. Tess Coleman, a hardworking psychologist and writer, is strained, as their opposing personalities create constant friction between them. Minutes later, they arrive at school, where Anna gets excited when she runs into her crush named Jake, but her smile fades when the attractive guy ignores her. Then, Anna receives her grade on an assignment, and convinced she didn't deserve to fail, she decides to talk to her teacher, Mr. Bates. However, he refuses to change her grade and sends her to detention for making a comment about his lack of hair. Meanwhile, Tess arrives at her office to see Evan, her most frequent client who constantly struggles with anxiety issues. In gym class, after being intentionally hit several times by her arch-nemesis, Stacy, Anna gets revenge by hitting her from behind with the ball, which leads to her getting punished again. While shopping at the grocery store, Tess is on the phone with her wedding planner discussing the food, as she's getting married in a few days after being widowed for several years. Jake and Anna meet after detention when he helps her pick up the things she dropped, and as they talk, she tells him about her music preferences and mentions she's in a rock band, which immediately grabs his attention since he's a fan of that genre too. Unfortunately, their nice conversation is cut short by her teacher, who scolds her for no reason and seems to have something against Anna. Later, when she gets home, she gets angry when she finds her little brother named Harry in her room playing with her guitar. They have a somewhat chaotic relationship and are always fighting, since her little brother is constantly bothering her, and to her frustration, their mom always takes his side. Later, Anna meets up with her band in the garage to practice. However, the noise they make is so loud that it echoes through the whole house, so Tess decides to cut off their power and then goes to meet with her fiancé named Ryan. Meanwhile, one of Anna's friends gets a call informing her that the band has a chance to audition. They celebrate excitedly until they find out the audition is tomorrow night, at the same time as her mom's rehearsal dinner for the wedding. Her friends get discouraged, but Anna reassures them, saying she'll figure out a way to convince her mom and make it to the audition. She then heads up to her room, only to find her brother there again, and to make matters worse, she realizes her mom has removed her door because minutes earlier, she had received a call from the principal informing her about Anna's detentions and the bad grades she got that day. Anna tries to explain to her mom that it wasn't her fault, Stacy was the one who started bothering her, and she's convinced Mr. Bates has something against her. Her efforts were useless, as Tess didn't believe a word she said. That night, the family goes to a Chinese restaurant, where Ryan makes an effort to get along with Anna, but she only responds coldly and rudely. Tess notices this behavior and takes the opportunity while Ryan is in the bathroom to tell her that she won't get anywhere by acting that way. Knowing it's not in her best interest to argue with her mom, Anna pretends to be sorry and promises to behave, only to later ask for permission to go to the audition. Tess gets upset when she hears that Anna would rather go with her band than be with her during such a special moment. They both complain about how easy the other's life seems to be, and even though each insists their own life is tough, neither can understand the other because they can't put themselves in the other's shoes. Hearing their shouting, the restaurant owner suddenly appears to offer them some fortune cookies. However, after grabbing the cookies, the argument continues. Anna refuses to keep talking to her mother and locks herself in a room. Both take that moment to calm down and start reading the fortune from their cookies, which says they'll soon go on a journey to discover what they're missing, and that only true love will bring them back. After they finish reading, an earthquake shakes the restaurant, but strangely only they felt it, and at midnight, something paranormal seems to happen to them while they sleep. In the morning, Tess wakes up completely confused, finding herself in her daughter's room, and when she sees her reflection in the mirror with Anna's body, she can't help but scream in panic. She then goes to her own room and finds her daughter peacefully sleeping in her body. When Anna wakes up, she's also terrified to see someone else in her body. She immediately runs to the mirror and screams when she sees herself looking so much older. They soon realize that screaming won't solve anything, so they start thinking of ways to get their bodies back.
Hi, Mom.
They fail in their attempt, but thanks to Harry, they remember the earthquake from the night before and assume that event had something to do with their body swap. Before going to the Chinese restaurant, they agree to act completely normal in each other's bodies for the time being. After dressing the way she had always dreamed her daughter would, she forces Anna to change out of her inappropriate outfit. In the car, they argue discreetly so Harry and Ryan don't notice the switch. When they arrive at school, Tess asks her to behave around Ryan to avoid ruining her wedding. Just then Jake shows up, and before leaving, Anna warns her mother that she'll break up with her fiancé if she doesn't chat with him. On the other hand, the childish way her mom has been acting since the morning leaves Harry more and more confused. Tess begins her adventure as a young student and seeing Stacy, kindly approaches her to say hello. However, her enemy takes advantage of her vulnerability to play a prank on her. Meanwhile, Anna manages to avoid kissing her stepfather, and with several credit cards in hand, she walks into a store where she spends her mom's money on a ton of clothes and gives herself an incredible makeover. Back at school, Tess starts to get the feeling that she's seen the teacher somewhere before. Mr. Bates surprises the entire class with a pop quiz, but it turns out he only did it to mess with her. Even though the other students gave wrong answers, he gave them good grades, while he failed her, despite her answer being correct. In the office, Anna starts doodling to pass the time while listening to her mom's patients share their problems, nodding every now and then to act like she's paying attention. After class, Tess confronts the teacher because she refuses to accept the grade he gave her. However, he is unwilling to change it. At that moment, she finally remembers him. He was the weird guy she rejected years ago at her prom. Realizing he's taking it out on her daughter for that, she threatens to report him to the school board if he continues with his pathetic revenge. Later, her daughter arrives driving recklessly to pick her up, and after noticing all the changes she made to her face, Tess scolds her the entire way to the Chinese restaurant. Once there, they ask the owner's daughter to call her mother for an explanation. When she finds out what her mother did, she scolds the old woman for meddling in other people's lives. Unfortunately, they can't do anything about it except tell them that to solve the problem, the fortune from the cookie has to come true. Both feel frustrated knowing they'll have to stay in each other's bodies for a while longer. Anna goes to Harry's school because her brother is having trouble there. Talking to the teacher, she finds out that he's being bullied, and although he annoys her all the time, he actually loves her and thinks she's the best sister in the world. Back at school, Tess tries once again to build a good relationship with Stacy before taking her test. Meanwhile, Ryan surprises Anna by getting her an interview on a live show, where she will have the chance to talk about the book her mother just published. During the test, Stacy once again takes advantage of her innocence, making her look like a cheater in front of everyone. Anna runs into Jake after detention, and since he worked at the school, he offers to help her finish the test she left halfway through. On the other hand, the show host asks Anna to talk to the audience about her new book.
Well, I wrote it.
Amazingly, she wins the crowd over by giving nonsensical answers to complex questions and starting to talk about things that have nothing to do with the book. After finishing her test and sabotaging Stacy's, Tess sees on TV the crazy things her daughter is doing and saying. Because of this, she asks Jake for a ride, but he turns her down, disappointed by what she did with Stacy's exam. Later, Anna happens to arrive at the same restaurant where Jake works in the evenings. As they chat, they realize they have a lot in common and their chemistry is so strong that they even start singing together. The incredible moment is interrupted when Anna realizes she's running late for the rehearsal dinner. To help her avoid being late, Jake offers to give her a ride.
Okay.
Ryan is surprised when he looks out the window and sees his future wife happily hugging a young motorcyclist. When she gets home, Tess scolds her for everything she did on the show, but Anna doesn't pay much attention to the reprimands since she's feeling so happy about spending the afternoon with Jake. A few minutes later, Ryan shows up quite upset, asking if she was living out some kind of fantasy with that guy. Anna doesn't know how to respond, but luckily her mom saves the situation by saying that the guy was her suitor and that Anna was just getting to know him to see if Jake was a good guy. However, just as they were about to head to dinner, Tess hears Jake singing lovingly to Anna, so she rushes to tackle him before Ryan notices he's there. They arrive at the place, and while they're trying to decipher the fortune from the cookie, Anna realizes that Jake had followed her. To make matters worse, Tess is dragged off by her friends to take her to the audition. Anna secretly meets with the smitten guy and asks him to leave without causing any trouble. Suddenly, Ryan shows up to inform her about what the girls had planned to do. At that moment, Anna's negative view of her stepfather completely changed, because even though it was his rehearsal dinner, he allowed the girls to go to the audition and even encouraged Anna to join them. Deep down, he truly wanted to see Anna happy and understood how important her band was to her. Even though she had always treated him rudely, he loves her like a daughter. On the other hand, Tess feels a lot of anxiety about being forced to play the guitar in front of a large audience. A few minutes later, Anna arrives at the venue and sees her mom completely freeze on stage. When she tries to play, all she produces is noise, so not knowing what else to do, she leaves the stage and runs into Anna, who asks her to go back and pretend to play while she handles everything from backstage. Everyone celebrates the amazing performance they pulled off. Shortly after, they return to the dinner, and since they hadn't solved the body switch problem, Tess asks her daughter, through tears, to announce that the wedding will be postponed. Anna agrees to her mother's request, so she asks everyone for their attention to talk about how she has felt since her father's passing and the arrival of a new man in the family. She knew that no one could ever replace her dad, who truly was a great father. However, after getting to know him better, she realized it would be a mistake not to make room in the family for a man like Ryan. Just after she finishes speaking, another earthquake shakes the place. Their spirits leave their bodies, and when everything settles down, they both realize that they've finally gotten their bodies back. The next day they get married, and thanks to this experience, mother and daughter resolve the tense relationship they had. Jake shows up at the wedding because ever since he saw her mom playing the guitar, he became interested in her again. He asks her to forget everything that happened yesterday and start a new relationship from scratch. Anna and her band perform one of their best songs, and with this scene, the movie ends. Don't miss out on future recaps, subscribe, leave a like and comment if you have already seen this movie. Thanks for watching.